Classic and Zoun. Should clarify, not Dark. Separate teams. But speaking of teams, here we are on Pride of Altaris. Pride of Altaris, LE. We're in the top left-hand corner of the map, swinging all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He, of course, is going to be representing Alpha X. He is the general. He is Zoun.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Pride of Altaris LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. He is blue, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. DPG, it is Dark.
And he doesn't immediately grab the gold, so I'm disappointed.
Look, who we casting? Ragnarok? Alright, calm down, buddy.
Rogue, apparently. He's doing that.
Yes, but Dark does open up a little bit more standard here. Obviously taking the unnatural natural, but not the biggest of deals. And now the big question is, how is Zoun going to approach this? We have seen him go Skytals before, but he's not one to shy away from Twilight Council openings either.
Yeah, I want to say he's probably one of the more diverse players when it comes to his builds, at least in PvZ. Does show a lot of variety compared to some of the other players out there.
Yeah, exactly, and he's pretty goddamn good. Zoun, I want to say he's had his breakout year this year, maybe last year a little bit, when it comes to him really cementing himself among the best in Korea. I wouldn't say he's like Zest or Trap, but you know, he's just under them. Solid player, and he can definitely take it and take games and even series off of players like Dark.
Yeah, he's at that level where he's not quite Zest or Trap, but on a good day, he can take out Zest or Trap.
Yeah, exactly.
And even a player like Dark.
It's all about his form. And speaking of form, Dark avoids his natural, goes straight for the gold, and so far, this has been scouted. Zoun has spotted the hatchery.
Shaking his head, and he's looking to exploit that fact and try to deny mining for as long as possible with that Twilight Council.
Exactly.
We think Blaze, we think we charge.
Yeah, we were talking about his different openers here, and he does not go for Skytals, which is interesting because Pride of Altaris is one of the maps where Skytals can do well, but this is why sometimes it does not. Even though this is a large map and we can end up in the late game, the goal base really does help the Zerg go toe-to-toe with a late game Protoss army. So, because of that, Zoun may not want to really get there, and that's why he goes for Glaives.
Oh, okay. Moves away just in time.
Yes, the Overlord does survive for now, but Dark is going to be able to get away with this gold base for a little bit. What's scary is that Dark still hasn't scouted. He will be aware that, hey, there's no Stargate, there's no Void Rays, something's going to be coming my way, and he has to get ready for whatever that is.
Yeah. Best case scenario, I think we see a safety spine get thrown down from Dark. He's getting safety spores, which, you know, that's another good way of just staying safe, just in case DTs get thrown this way. Roaches are going to be on the way, but are there going to be enough of them by the time Zoun pushes out?
That's the real question. What I'm a little bit worried about, and to be fair, Dark is working on it. He is spreading creep between all his bases. The roaches that are being rallied out of his main base are going to take a while to really get to the front line, which is a little bit scary. Back and forth as well. That's the power of these adepts. They can bounce between the bases, and there's a lot of room here where there is no creep.
Definitely. Still going to be a little bit of a travel distance for these shaded adepts, but as long as he's able to get off a creep, what are those queens really going to do to defend? What are those roaches even without Galactic Constitution going to do to defend?
Exactly, so we'll see what Zoun can get done. You can also argue that, to be fair, the goal base is really where Zoun wants to get damage done. He wants to try and avoid mining as best as he can. He dips on forward. There's only 2 Ravagers. They can be focused down.
Absolutely can. These Ravagers want to be able to bile down this Warp Prism, but if they're not careful, the Adepts are just going to absolutely go to town on them.
That they are. Meanwhile, 2 drones go down, but Dark resumes mining here at the gold base. The Shades continue to threaten the gold, and Dark has to take it seriously.
Yeah, going back and forth. Shade does get cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, these adepts have found their way into the natural base, only getting 1 drone, and ooh, they do commit to the Shade. They do get into the gold.
Yeah, half of them commit to the Shade, the other half get loaded into the Warp Prism and immediately go to the main base. Warp Prism taking a lot of damage from these queens. Very far off of creep.
Yeah, exactly.
But it will survive, and Dark will lose 7 drones.
Yeah, 7 drones go down in total. 9 actually in total because they were the first 2 at the gold. So honestly, the damage done is pretty good from Zoun. Sure, he doesn't kill Dark, but he does cripple the economy a little bit. The big downside though is that this would have been great on a normal map, but because Dark has the gold base, like, he makes up for those drone losses.
Recover, yeah. He recovers so quickly. I guess it's good that Zoun wasn't ultra committed to this, so he can sort of take his victories and transition to something else. But as he was saying, I'm still worried about Dark's recovery potential.
Exactly, because Dark, he's working on his 4th hatchery, he's working on just, again, regaining control of his side of the map as well. Meanwhile, what do we have from Zoun? He did go for a robotics bay, he is working on disruptors, he's got an immortal as well, like, he's working on his tools, but he needs a little bit more time. I do think that this 3rd base is a little bit exposed, but thankfully for Zoun, Dark isn't necessarily looking to counterattack.
Yeah, not yet anyway. Just working on his upgrades, making sure his economy is stable. Doesn't have too much gas at the moment, I will say. Or too much gas income.
Ooh, but hopefully Dark didn't drone up too much. The army is moving out. Finally, it doesn't get scattered by Dark, but he has to respect this. There are disruptors here in the Warp Prism.
Okay, he's trying to find the middle of the map before Zoun can really get a good position, but again, it's all about these disruptors that are in the Warp Prism. Dark gets blindsided. He can lose his entire army in a flash. Good split, though. Only losing 1 Ravager each.
Yeah.
Or to each of those Purification Novas.
Yeah, exactly. 2 Novas go off and only 2 Ravagers go down. These are acceptable losses here for Dark. He has Lings and Roaches in production. He has bought enough time to have a decent army to fight this, but he has to be careful. These Ravagers are maybe overextending a little bit. He doesn't want to lose them. He doesn't want to lose any more. And the Lings actually go for a counterattack instead. What is there at home to defend?
A massive warping of Adepts. Which actually isn't going to be enough. Dark trying to force a bit of a base trade here, and he does force a recall out of Zoun. Left side defense gets taken out by the third base location. The Adepts are pretty isolated, but honestly there are enough of them that they can deal with these Roaches and Ravagers. What happened to all of the Lings?
So the Lings went down, mate, to the Adepts, because the Adepts have glaives, of course. The Adepts making short work of the entire army, cleans everything up, and now Dark is in a really rough place. He couldn't afford to lose the Ravagers like that. He does save some of them, but not enough. And now the Adepts, they just keep on going. That's all you need, mate.
Only Adept.
And Disruptors, to be fair.
Well, yeah. Even though the Disruptors haven't gotten too much damage, they have been zoning out a lot of the army, in fairness. Like so.
Yeah, another Ravager gets taken out. We had a bit of a Ling run, but now they're coming back home to try and get us around.
And they do. I gotta say that despite Dark losing his Ravagers, it did force him to remake his Roaches. And with that, he actually fights this army. He actually has more of an advantage against this army. His Roaches are starting to get thinned out, but he should be able to hold here. Hasn't lost any Queens, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Zoun lost his Warp Prism. He did.
There was some very nice target fire there. When Dark got the surround going, the Queens started to step forward and they focused down not just the Warp Prism, but also 1 Disruptor that was inside it. So there was some nice moves there. He stopped the reinforcements, and just like that, Dark, he defends. He can go for another counterattack. He has to be careful not to overextend. We have another Nova. And
it is a pretty juicy connection considering how little forces Dark actually has in this push. He's got a massive army supply advantage, but they're all back at home. He does have Galaver Constitution. This Roach is going to take forever to move across the map.
Exactly, and with good enough Fleet Stalker control, I should say, a couple of the Roaches do get picked off in the retreat. Zoun once again holds onto this 3rd base. This game has been so scrappy, so back and forth. Dark still struggling to deal any economic damage here whenever he goes for a counterattack, but He's got a 4th, and now he's working on a 5th.
Yeah. Getting himself ahead while he still can. He has the map at control for the time being. Zoun is quaking his boots back into third base.
Yeah, and this time, like, he's got a decent roach count. He's got some lings as well. I do think we're lacking a little bit when it comes to the Ravagers. But now Dark finally sees that the army is on the way, getting himself set up.
He's almost there. You know, Zoun just working on his own upgrades.
Yeah, he's working on Colossus, which kind of makes sense against the Lings, but we do see that we have majority Roaches coming out from Dark, so I don't know how well this is going to work. Zoun is relying on these 3 Disruptors to hold on against the Roaches.
And Dark wants to bait out the Purification Novas. Already 2 of them get thrown out and get completely whiffed. There's only 1 left. There's only 0 left here for Zoun. And Dark is breaking through the natural with about a third of his army. The rest of his forces have gone to this 4th base location.
Yeah, to the 4th, to the 3rd. The Novas still need a little bit more time. If he's not careful, they're going to be focused down. And Dark, he's going for it. He gets 1. Oh, no, he doesn't.
He doesn't get 1, but Zoun doesn't get much damage either. He actually friendly fires his own forces here. Finally, the force in Zoun's natural base is getting thinned out, but not before Dark kills 15 probes, and even more roaches are on the way. Not a very good split, and fortunately, yeah, the purification, or the disruptor, sorry, wasn't sniped in time for the purification over to go off.
I mean, there was a great Nova there, but regardless, it's still just mass roaches coming across the map. There are only 2 Disruptors remaining. The Colossus, I don't think, was ever made here. There's a 3rd Disruptor on the way, but doesn't even matter because Dark, he took out the 4th base. 19 probes have gone down, and now he's flooding Lings across the map.
Yeah, once Dark pushed out with his massive Roach Ravager army, he already had control. It's like he bit on to Zoun's neck and just has never let go. Just tightening.
Yeah, it took a while for Dark to really get this push to deal damage, but eventually over time, finally he was able to absorb attack wave after wave from Zoun. And again, Zoun switching into Colossus was not the move. He thought that Dark was going to go more into Lings, but he did not. And Dark takes the first game.
GG. That was Pillars of Pride of Altaris.
You keep wanting to say it. Oh my god. It's been like 2 years.
You're like, let it go.
Let it go.
It wasn't that good of a map. Anyway.
It was okay. No. It was okay. If I recall correctly, I think you did enjoy it, right?
I think that was the map where I won every TvZ I played on it.
There you go. There you go.
Lost all my TvTs and TvPs, but TvZ, yo, that was the map for it. Had a lot of good tank positions.
Yeah. But here in this game, like, again, massive shout out to Dark because it was so scrappy. You know, the Adepts were dealing some damage early on. They prompted a counterattack, and Dark did throw away, like, an army twice there. Like, it was... the defenses were looking rough. Looking so rough. But as we saw, like, all he needs to do was focus down that War Prism, stop any reinforcements, stop the Disruptor Micro. Yeah, ever since that moment, he kind of had control of the game.
I got kicked from BNet.
Every time, yeah. Every time.
I don't know how long it's gonna take for me to get back.
I'll share my screen. I suggest you restart your clients. Let's just restart your clients.
Yeah.
For the
I
next
may as well
game.
let them play. Yeah. May as well just share a screen for this game, and then I'll try to get into the next one.
Yep. Screen is being shared as we are diving into our next game.
At our Glittering Ashes.
Ooh, one of the more larger maps in the map pool. What I will say is that I apologize, Yaku, because now that we're in a larger map, we could be in for a longer game.
That means I have more time to preload.
There you go.
Unit preload. You know, on the bright side. Well, I say look on the bright side, but that's Blackbird. Oh, right. Still introing. Anyway, we're gonna be kicking off. I didn't know you wanted me to start the intro. All right. we're going to be kicking off this series on Glittering Ashes. Continuing this series on Glittering Ashes, LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. A RIP Protoss player coming down from the land of Korea, or apparently US West, question mark? Previous series, they didn't go off of. He is going to be representing Alpha X. We have Zoun.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes ALE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. He is blue, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG. Currently up 1-0 in this best of 5 semifinals. It is Dark. Madman himself.
Yeah, the mad lad.
Wow. Really taking advantage of that gold base in the last game. Without it, I would have had a much harder time. But yeah, he had some great control. Like, despite like the constant adept harass, despite Zoun intentionally trying to hit that gold whenever he could, Dark had some really good control and some really good micro there, just keeping as much as he could alive.
Yeah. Again, his target firing was insane when it came to those engagements. Sniping disruptors, taking out the warp prism. Very well done.
His splits as well. You were mentioning it when it was happening. There were a couple of times when the Novas got off, and 1 or 2 units got taken out, and that was it. Like, it took a long time for the disruptors to really get their money shots, and by the time that was happening, like, Zoun was already dying.
Yeah. I guess it's a little bit of a consolation,
Yeah.
as you're dying.
Exactly. He was fighting back as best he could. Meanwhile, speaking of fighting back, and this is what I was alluding to at the very start of the game, is that Zoun is going for a Stargate opener, and I am feeling some Sky Toss here on Glittering Ashes.
Ooh. Are you feeling a fleet beacon, though, early on?
If Zoun wants to be a real Chad, then I hope so.
Yeah. Alright, he's starting off with the Void Ray, keeping it safe. Fleet beacon is still a possibility at this point.
It is. So we'll keep an eye on a couple of things. Are we going to see a second Stargate? Are we going to see a Forge thrown down? The first Void Ray, of course, is going to clean up this Overlord. And then the ball is in Zoun's court. What does he want to do here? Because, of course, there is always an option to go into a Twilight Council and try and, like, catch Dark off guard.
Yeah, a couple of deja vu vibes here. Was it Chance that we casted earlier on who went for Void Ray Oracle into a third base and then 5-gate? I think it was 5-gate. 5-gate to depth. I think it was.
Yeah. He's the one who went 5-gate to depth for Glaze, but also went for a Dark Shrine as well.
Yeah. It's all coming back to me. Well, a third base is on the way for Zoun.
Yeah, it is on the way here. The Oracle is zooming across the map, and there it is! +1 air attack in production here for Zoun, which does mean that this man wants to go into the toss of the sky.
Yeah, this is a lot more standard than what we saw from Chance early on. Again, about what we expected, really, from a player like Zoun.
Yeah, he is one of the players who has embraced Skytoss quite well, and, I mean, this is one of the best maps to do it on, so why not? It's such a large map, there are plenty of bases to take, there are plenty of choke points as well to wall off and take advantage of and make it difficult for the Zerg player to push in. So Zoun's goal here is going to be to kind of turtle up a little bit and get into those Void Rays and eventually into that Fleet Beacon. What is Dark's plan here?
We shall see. Whatever it is, it's involving a Roach Warren still. It will be insane if you decide to Queen March on a map like Glittering Ashes, but there we go! That's why we see a very early Hydra then coming out from him.
Yeah, and this is risky. Hydra timings are great, they're beautiful, they can kill a player if they're being too greedy, and if they go for like a fast Fleet Beacon into carriers, or if they just go mass Void Ray. But If Zoun plays it safe and goes for, say, charge loss or disruptors or storm, like fast, to support his Void Rays, then Dark is gonna have a hard time making these Hydras work.
Really will. But upgrades are already on the way. It's all about who gets your army out quicker.
Exactly, exactly. Dark is going to want to hit the timing with +1 and range here for his Hydras. Meanwhile, this is what I was worried about. Charges on the way. So Zoun will have charge loss to support his Void Rays. Will he have enough, though? Will he have enough to overwhelm and overpower the Hydras?
It's not looking likely. Has he got like 3 Void Rays in the sky right now?
Yeah, he's got 3 Voiders in the sky. You know, we have charge on the way as well. The Voiders is going to do the best they can to be a little bit annoying. Almost takes down the Queen. Up! Get one.
He does.
Oh!
Not a second, but he does keep his own Void Rays alive. Very important to,
Mate.
as they scale, as the game goes on.
Yeah, and Dark being punished here. He skipped out. Oh my god, but the Hydra intercept! He gets 1! He gets 2! He gets 3!
He gets 3! Oh, beautifully done here by Dark. He knew there was only one path for Zoun to escape. He doesn't want to waste a recall.
Yeah, that was insane. I was about to say that Dark is being punished for his lack of queens. He cut queen production to go into those Hydras, and he lost 3 of them. Like, things were getting out of control. But going for the flank, going for the intercept, and sniping those Void Rays was huge, and now Dark is going to have a much easier time expanding. I was going to say Dark has one of 2 options. He either counterattacks immediately to try and kill his opponent, or just expand and join up.
Yeah, and I think Dark has sort of realized how big of a map clearing Ashes is. He doesn't have muscular augments yet, so going for a counterattack would be risky. He has secured his map control, so might as well get further ahead in the economy. I will say, though, that he does take the map control, but Zoun does confirm that Dark is going for Hydras, so he was already working on switching chargelets and more of a ground-focused army earlier on, but now he can just continue to commit to that.
Yeah, exactly. This is the problem. This is why Hydras are on the timer, because we have Colossus and Extended Thermal Lance on the way. Double Colossus production. This is going to get scary. But it's, again, Zoun needs time, and he has 0 map awareness right now. He has 1 Oracle across the map. He has not seen, and an Observer that's coming. He has not seen the Dropper Lords, and this is going to be a huge move from Dark.
Yeah, Dark already going for a little bit of a harassment force to distract the main army. This army of Zoun is completely out of position. It's as far away from the main as it could really be.
Yeah, but
while
you know what?
Still technically being in the Zoun side.
And now Zoun has a split. He saw the drop with his Zealot. The Spotter Zealot was a hero. He warps in at home. The Stalkers do get in, and Zoun should be able to hold on. 1 Colossus is shelling away, but there are not enough Hydras. But at the same time, Dark overwhelms with this push.
Yeah, that force towards the north will get taken out here, but Dark is able to take out 1 Colossus towards the south. Not quite able to deal economic damage. Oh, such a good cancel on that warp in. That just forces Zoun to waste a lot more money.
Yeah, exactly. The Archon gets taken out as well. So Dark will not break his opponent, but with these reinforcements, maybe he can get on top of the Colossus. He wants it, mate. He wants it so bad.
The Roaches are in position, but they decide to fight the Stalkers instead.
Yeah, and you know what? They will win the fight against the Stalkers. They're trying to close the distance. They're trying to get on top of those Colossus. Another Colossus is exposed. The reinforcements are trying to catch it, but the Void Rays come in, and the Roaches are not going to be enough here.
I just can't stop thinking about how this fight would have gone if Zoun saved his Void Rays earlier.
Yeah, it would have been completely different here. We have a couple of Hydras on the way. Is it going to be enough? Dark is trying to get into Lurkers. This counterattack is ambitious, and I don't know if it's going to work here.
It's ambitious, but it does have a lot of DPS on it. It's essentially a glass cannon that Zoun is throwing Dark's way at the moment.
Yeah, he is. We have a bit of a Zealot round by heading up towards the top left as well. War Prism finally shows up, so now Zoun has some micro potential to keep his Colossus alive. Ooh, cancels a Warp in, getting some High Templar, getting some Archons.
Just about as effective of a anti-Hydra armies you can get, but what about the Lurkers?
Yeah, Lurker ends just about to finish up. Exactly, he still needs a little bit more time. We do have a bit of a flank coming in from Dark. Is this going to be enough? He's breaking through. The Void Rays are going down, and the War Prism.
does get sniped. No more reinforcements in this position. A couple of Void Rays get taken out. I think I saw an Immortal go down.
Archon.
Archon, yep, and Archon went down.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the Zealot Roundbite is trying to do what it can. Gets 5 drones. What the hell are 5 drones compared to, what, the 3 Void Rays, the Colossus, the War Prison, just everything that Zoun just lost?
Barely anything is my answer.
And
Dark does suffer a little bit economically, but not enough to really give Zoun an advantage.
exactly. And what's scary is that Dark has done it. He has survived long enough where Lurker Den is done. He can now get into Lurkers. He's working on a hive as well for Vipers. There we go. 6 Lurkers are on the way. This is the army that he has been working towards. And earlier, like, Dark, all he had to do was defend, and he has done so. Now he can be the aggressor, and it's going to be so much more difficult for Ground Toss to push into Lurkers, especially once the hive upgrades kick in.
Yeah, all he had to do was defend, and he did a lot more than defend. Let me tell you.
Exactly, and now Zoun, he has correctly identified this, and he has to abandon the ground, and he is going into carriers. Problem is, there's not that many carriers. 2 are just about to pop out. Mass Hydra can deal with 2 carriers.
Oh, Mass Hydra wants to see 2 carriers on your own.
True.
It's just about best case scenario for the Zerg player.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, there we go. 5 Vipers are on the way. We have Lurker range as well. We have +3. Hydra Lurker Viper may not be the best army for Skytoss, but he's not fighting Skytoss. Zoun is trying to get there, but he's not there yet, so this is an okay composition for Dark. If this game goes on longer for like another 4 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, then we will need a Spire, but at the moment Dark doesn't have to worry about that. Not yet.
Yeah, Zoun is maxed out now, but with a less than ideal army. Still a very expensive army, even if it's not quite what Zoun wants.
Yeah, and the most crucial upgrade that he needs right now is Storm. It's still not done, so like Hydras are still dangerous. Dark doesn't know that though. He sees a bunch of High Templar. He doesn't know that Storm isn't something that he needs to worry about.
Yeah, he's still going to be playing this out very, very safe, which, you know, you probably should anyway. When you see these High Templar, because you don't want your Vipers to have feedback and what have you. Gives up this base, and he's just setting up for as big of a surround as possible. Zoun with the Zealot run-bys is really making Dark's drones at least run for the hills.
Oh my god, exactly. Speaking of run-bys, we have a massive Roach counterattack, and there is a carrier to deal with it, but it's going to take a long time for that carrier to really deal damage. Are we going to see a recall back home? Oh, the Roaches actually don't get into the mineral line. Oh, the Yoinks! The Yoinks! Up!
Yoinks are here! A couple of Colossus do get yoinked, but unfortunately not quite in range of those Lurkers in the back. Colossus will survive. More drones go down.
God, that they will. Some good feedbacks though. If it wasn't for those feedbacks, Dark would have gone to town on those abducts. And now we've reached a scary moment of the game where that carrier count is starting to get out of control. It's starting to get to 4, 5, 6 carriers. Dark, he's aware of that though. He already has a Spire.
Yeah, gonna work with some Corruptors after this. Hydras are great against carriers in low numbers. They're fantastic against Interceptors. Not against a Golden Armada.
Yeah.
Gonna want to have some Corruptors out for that.
Exactly, and I love the way that Dark is utilizing these Roaches. He just keeps finding more value. He found the Zealot run-by earlier. You know, he focuses down a bunch of cannons and shield batteries. Like, this is supply that Dark wants to get rid of, and he is trading beautifully. He's also setting up his Spore Forest. The spores are being thrown down left and right. He kept his Vipers alive from earlier as well. Yeah, like, Dark he's keeping up. Zoun still has to perfect his army.
See, I didn't believe you when you said that we were going to go into a longer game on Glittering Ashes.
Hey, it's Glittering Ashes, man. What are you on about?
It's like, nah, it can't be that long.
I mean, to be fair, it's been very active. It hasn't. It's not like.
It has, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like 15-minute no rush like max out, you know.
Yeah. Hopefully, it doesn't slow down too much as we approach a late game.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully, as Roaches do force a cancel on the 5th base here of, 6th base of Zoun. Doesn't get it up, not yet. Meanwhile, we have a second Spire for double upgrades for Dark. He's the one who needs time to really get that up and running. Meanwhile, Zoun, he's pushing out. He's got Storm, he's got Colossus. Sorry, not Colossus. He's got Archons, he's got Disruptors.
The shoot-up Colossus.
Yeah.
That's what I like to call Archons.
Oh, the missed rally.
Oh. Yeah, Lurker getting taken out for free there. Vipers were also in a very compromised position.
And these roaches are relentless. that's the same roach hit squad, by the way. He's going straight into the natural.
And he's gonna get a ton of damage done, potentially forcing a recall. So many feedbacks on all of these Vipers. That's really keeping the army alive right now for Zoun.
Yeah. God, that was so crucial. The Vipers, they're all forced to turn back. Feedbacks keeping Zoun in this. Meanwhile, Roach Rumbai does take out a Robo, does take out a couple units, but this will be cleaned up finally. Zoun no longer has to worry about the Roaches, but Dark is remaking more Hydras, interestingly enough, not Corruptors.
He's kind of banking on these carriers to stay in this quantity. There we go.
He really wants some yoinks. Can he get them? We have a recall in the end. Dark abandoning some of his units, but because Zoun does have a bit of a Zealot and DT run by, he gets the Greater Spire. He gets the regular Spire. Oh no.
I guess it was a good thing Dark was relying on Hydras to begin with, because he is not going to build any carrier or Corruptors here on out.
Mate, this War Prism is the real MVP. He didn't just snipe the Spires, he also, I mean, one was a Greater Spire, he also denied the upgrades. We had 1-1 on the way for air attack and air defense, and none of them finished.
I didn't even notice that. I noticed nothing to defend this fort base of Dark. Zoun should get a free base, just like so. A couple of Lurkers, is it? Yeah, Lurkers who get in position.
Yeah, that they do, and this is looking better and better for Zoun now as the game goes on. Like, I was talking about it earlier. Dark, like, Hydra Lurker Viper is okay, but at a certain point you need to switch. Like, the carry count gets too much, and Dark knows that. He was getting ready to switch, but again, like, the War Prism was huge, the harassment was huge, and Zoun is just in a perfect position to press the issue and take advantage of the fact that there are no Corruptors.
There's nothing really to pressure him. He's moving towards more and more choke points, which is terrible news for Dark and his Hydras.
Oh god, ETs, they just keep dealing more damage. Now in comes the main army. The Spore Forest is no longer a Sporus. A lot of it gets taken down. It's still struggling to push on forward and break through these Lurkers, but regardless, now he's getting some nice value. Finally, we get some yoinks.
Really good yoinks. Free Archon and free carrier. Some even better feedback. So from the side of Zoun, how many High Templar does he have actually? I feel like he's just never running out of NG.
As soon as he runs out, he only has one High Templar left. He has been morphing them into these Archons whenever he can. But now he is at his weakest. We just mentioned it. He's only got one High Templar. So yeah, Zoun has to be a little bit careful. But without Corruptors, it's so difficult to really chase this down with just Hydras.
Especially with the Mama ship.
Yeah.
Never want to underestimate that cloak.
And here we go. More High Templar have been morphed in. They did finally make their way towards the main army. And this is what's scary. The scariest thing is that Zoun has been expanding here, and he's been left alone. Like, he has been free to just take expansion after expansion. He has all the money he needs. He's getting all the upgrades he needs. He is leaving Dark behind a little bit. Dark still needs the miracle fight where his Vipers just go uncontested, and the feedbacks don't stop him.
Yeah, but as you said, that would be a massive miracle. For one, Dark needs to find Zoun's army in the middle of the map, and he has to have already set up a flank in that position.
Yeah, like, the scary thing is that, like, we've seen Zoun, and, like, time and time again, like, more often than not, that he is in position with his High Templar, and he just denies the Vipers whenever he has a chance. Dark has had a really hard time getting those abducts off.
He definitely wants to. A couple of stuff just got taken out, but it's kind of the least of Dark's worries right now. And at least Zoun's worries. He can afford these interceptors.
This is the biggest worry, mate. Zoun is getting ready for a recall. He's getting ready to just send it into the main base. Dark has to be so careful here. Again, without Corruptors, it's difficult to navigate between all these bases because Dark is restricted to the ground. He's trying to get into those Corruptors. He's pumping out a few of them.
And the ground path does wind a lot and twist. Some more ground for Dark to cover. Mothership is here in position. Not really feedback.
Yeah, the High Templar take a little bit of damage. What's important is that not a single High Templar died there. Oh, yoinks go off!
And the yoinks will take out a lot of these carriers. A recall is forced, but not too far away, honestly.
I love it. He recalls into the natural. He avoids all the spores. The lurkers are trying to reposition, but the storms connect with a lot of these Hydras. But I think that's the last storm.
That was, in fact, the last storm. The last High Templar. Now there are Corruptors in position. They take out the Mothership, and they should be able to deal with the rest of the Sky Army. These are very expensive losses. Actually, the Archons on the ground, I didn't even notice them, clean out so many Corruptors, so many Hydras. And with that, Zoun takes that series. Or takes that game. He ties up this series. 1-1.
GG. What's important there is that even though there was only one storm, the Hydras are very squishy units in general, and they did end up falling. And again, this is why we needed Corruptors more so than Hydras. Corruptors have so much more longevity. There were barely any Void Rays there as well. And Zoun, that was exactly the fight that he was looking for.
That it was. And now, we're going to be doing a complete 180 from the largest map in the pool to the smallest map in the pool.
Yeah.
Finishing up Glittering Ashes there, getting into Berlingrad, keeping our fingers crossed that our connections remain stable.
Exactly. And again, just GG, well played there from Zoun. Again, the MVP move was him sniping those spires. Like, Dark wanted to get into Corruptors 5+ minutes ago. He wanted to get into those Corruptors and have upgrades, and that was just denied, and he was just stuck with pure Hydra, and you don't want to be there in the late game.
Yeah. You know from experience.
Every Zerg player knows from experience, mate. When you got Skytus coming into your face and you're stuck with Hydra Lurker Viper, you're like, oh no, what have I done?
I can relate. It's a Marine Tech player. But yes, we are going to be continuing this series on Berlingrad LE. We're in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have our red Protoss player coming down from the land of Korea. He, of course, is going to be representing Alpha X. We have Zoun.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. He is blue, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming TPG. It is Dark.
And be jumping in here. All of us are going to be jumping in here as Cure versus Hero did finish up 3-0 in favor of Cure. Yeah, I guess shouldn't be too much of a surprise. The result, I guess, isn't too much of a surprise, but the score, to me anyway, the score definitely is.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe Hero could take a game against Cure. Again, it's one of those things where Hero's his kind of matchup of choice at the moment is PvP, and Cure has been historically a monster here in this tournament series, online and even offline. And yeah, Cure showing us all up, being like, yo, hey, sure, some weeks I fall to Zest, some weeks I fall to Creator, but I still got it, mate. I'm still deserving to be in the finals.
I don't fall to Hero. That's what he says.
Exactly, mate. And we'll find out who meets him there in those grand finals. Again, we had a pretty... I'm very surprised and very happy that Glittering Ashes was as active as it was. I was worried that we were going to end up in a snooze fest, but nah, mate. It's pretty eventful.
It's Dark and Zoun we're talking about. Dark especially does not know how to play passive.
Yeah. It's the best thing about Dark. Sometimes to his detriment, but
Well, I appreciate it personally.
Also, we've seen Dark do this a couple of times, and this is so greedy. He went for a very fast third hatchery here. It does delay his queens, as he's only making one, and it's at his forward base. But he looks like he's going to be able to, for the most part, get away with this greed. It's a little bit scary because, again, this will affect creep spread more than anything. And this will give a chance for that initial Void Ray to maybe find some damage.
Potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Dark has been playing around with this build a lot. If you recall, I think that he did this almost every single ZVP that we casted from him in the last week or so. I want to say maybe in the last 2 ESL Open Cup Asias, because we have been casting a little bit more Dark. But, yeah. Been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Oh, going for the third base first.
Yeah.
Yeah, even before any of the probes go across the map, Dark kind of gives it up. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to get that natural base up. I know. But I guess it also does set himself up to get a bit of a launch pad earlier on, right?
Oh, yeah.
And start spreading his creep forward, and already he's thrown down a couple of tumors trying to get across the map.
Definitely. To have the rest of the queens on the way. We're still lacking some creep to connect the bases, but they are on the way. Meanwhile, we don't have a second Void Ray. Void Ray straight into Oracle, once again, from Zoun.
Yeah, just playing this out pretty safe, and as he realizes that on a map like Berlin against a player like Dark, he's going to have to be a bit more defensive at the start of the game. Double Stargate, that's what I'm talking about.
We do have double Stargate on the way. Let's go. So we are going to see Sky Toss, of course. It makes sense here on Berlingrad, and yeah, we'll see how Dark can perform. As a couple of drones already getting picked up here at the natural.
A couple of drones do almost get picked off, but that Oracle also almost gets picked off.
Exactly, the Oracle just barely manages to escape.
This is interesting from Dark, yeah. He's not going to go for roaches this time. I think probably the first time in a ZVP tonight that he's not going for roaches. Instead, going straight for a Bane Bust. Or, I say Bane Bust. It could still just be regular Ling Bane with +1. I want to believe it's a Bane Bust, though.
Oh god, I want to believe so as well. I want to believe. We'll see. Meanwhile, exclamation mark Funada Thorn in the chat. I just looked it up on Wikipedia. Berlingrad is smaller than Curious Minds, mate. I know what you're on about. But Curious Minds is also quite a small map. It reminds me a lot more of the light shade of old in the previous season. But the Queen Push is coming. Ling Bane is coming. Yo, Dark, he's going for it.
Full Bane Bust.
Right.
Quite realized the stasis ward yet.
Oh no!
But only 2 queens will get caught. Oh, those are queens with some decent energy on them, though. It is unfortunate. A lot of banelings being made right now for Dark. He wants to bust forward.
Yeah, exactly. The Baileys are waddling on forward, and what's important is that the shield batteries and the cannons are not done yet, and they will not be done because the Baileys are going to crash on forward. They do connect with the side defense. The Queens are going to be able to take out the Oracles, but there are Voiders in the air. Never mind, one of them already getting sniped.
Just like so. No defenses up here anymore in this third base location, and yeah, the 13 probes already get taken out. Zoun is going to have to forfeit it as more and more Lings flood their way in.
Yeah, exactly. Lings are just flooding across the map. Meanwhile, behind this, Dark has the 4th base. He's working on a lair. He's working on that next step to get into a Spire because a lot of the Void Rays survived and they're going for a counterattack. The Queens need to come back home, but the Lings, they can try and break through, but oh god, we need some more Banes.
And more Banes is what we're getting.
The Queens are trying to race the Void Rays home, but you never want to race with Queens.
Yeah.
Oh god.
You never want to be a race queen.
Oh god, exactly. Meanwhile, the
And
Baileys,
now-
they bust on through. The walls on the wall!
get right on top of this wall, just completely ignoring the natural base where all the stack defenses is at. Instead, goes right for the main base where all of the tech and even more probes are located.
Yeah, exactly. The Lings they break on in. GG gets cold, and Dark takes a swift 2-1 lead.
Just like so. Well, we say swift. It was swift in this game, in this map.
Takes a quick game.
Yeah. Now he only needs uno más.
One more to make it to the grand finals.
Yeah, where we'll face Cure. Or potentially he'll face... Well, if he wins, he'll face Cure.
Oh god, it's with diving straight on in. Oh, I have to be careful. I almost clicked when maybe I shouldn't have. It's all good. And here we go.
Yeah, just getting in there. How's Berlingrad smaller in the dimensions?
Yes, dimensions and rush distance.
Yeah. I think that was actually something we were wondering for a while. Like, it seemed like Curious Minds had the same rush distance despite being a little bit larger than Berlingrad, but yeah, apparently not. Anyway, we're going to continue our series here on Light's favorite map, 2000 Atmospheres LE. And of course, it's your favorite map for a reason, you know. Blink-182 always plays once when we cast this map. In the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner, we of course have our red Protoss player coming down from the land of Korea. This is his final shot to stay in the tournament. He is going to be representing Alpha X. He is Zoun.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. He is blue, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG. It is Dark. Currently leading the series.
Yeah, only needs un momento, por favor. Only needs un tortuga.
Un tortuga? Oh god.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Sure, that's all he needs. But what I will say is, man, it's time to strap yourself in again. You know, we're back on 2000 Atmospheres, one of the other larger maps. It is different to Glittering Ashes, to be fair. There are less choke points compared to it, not by much. And the other thing is that on 2000 Atmospheres, you can kind of choose and decide which kind of direction you want to expand in, and that can change the dynamic of Skytoss if we go to Skytoss.
Big if.
And I feel like Zoun wants to go to Skytoss.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. I do feel like another difference between 2000 Atmospheres and Glittering Ashes is, from a Zerg perspective, there are a couple more positions for you to try to get the drop on your Protoss opponent, right? There's a little bit more potential to concave with roaches and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
depends on how active you're gonna be in, though.
We'll see. Like, we have seen Queen Walks on 2000 Atmospheres before, so for me, kind of fingers crossed here for Dark that he goes for it. But it's also so risky to do. And yo, we don't have a Stargate opener. Man. Yep. Okay, we have a Robo first instead. Man, are we gonna see a Bay?
You know what? I think we are. He is rallying across the map at the moment, but we should... Yep, he's changed his rally. We should just be seeing a Bay coming out here and then some disrupt drops from there.
The Robo does finish up. There is the Robotics Bay. We are going to be seeing some drops here. This is a bold move. I've seen Protoss players die horribly to aggression. Like, if these disruptors do not deal enough damage, like Dark, he's just going to go across the map. And what do you have to defend? Like, you have very few gateway units. Maybe you crank out an Immortal, but this can be so risky.
Absolutely can. It's massive if. The roaches are already on the way. Or at least the Roach Warren is.
Yeah, the Roach Warren is on the way. You know, we don't have too much creep spread, to be fair. What I will say is that Dark is in... He's in the dark. So he's kind of stuck out here, and he hasn't seen what's coming his way. He will spot the Warp Prism, but I mean, this could be, you know, for Twilight Council opener, right? It's not incredibly sus.
Yeah. Well, Twilight Council opening in general is sus, but yeah, I get what you're going at.
Definitely.
For all Dark knows, this is just Leave the Depths.
Ooh. Yeah, exactly. Regular Adepts are coming. Do we have our first Disruptor? We do have our first Disruptor. I love this because Zoun, he's kind of like selling a story right now. He's like, yo, I'm being here with my Glaive Adepts. I'm out here. I'm doing what I can. When really it's like a 1-2 punch. You know, he has the Disruptors at home. As long as he doesn't lose the War Prism. Gotta be careful.
I'm not sure how well he's able to sell that story now that Dark sees the Glaiveless Adepts, thinks, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
If this was Glaives, he would have had them by now. So he actually doesn't make any roaches, instead throws down a Baneling Nest, trying once again to see if he can bust on through. The answer is no, but Ling Bane is going to help him out a ton, though, against these Disruptors, regardless.
Exactly, and there's a lot riding on the shoulders of these Disruptors. They have to deal damage. They also have to keep Dark at home. Meanwhile, Zoun is going to try to expand from here, but Dark is being so active with these Lings.
Yeah, all he needs to do is realize that there is a third base being thrown down and pounce immediately on top of it. Or will he? Baneling Nest has finished up. Has an opportunity to bust through Natural, if he so chooses.
Yeah, exactly, but he still hasn't gotten anything for these Disruptors yet. He needs to desperately. Finally, the War Prism gets into the main base. Queens are not too far behind. He's going to try and get some drones. Up.
And he doesn't. Beautiful split by Dark. And again, the target firing on that War Prism. It's been absolutely superb. At least one Disruptor is going to get taken out. The Ravagers are pushing forward. This third base is not going to get up.
Mate, everything went wrong for Zoun in the blink of an eye. Oh my god. Because you know what? Like that target fire, the Disruptor drop did nothing. Despite having War Prism speed, the War Prism died. It went down anyway. The Lings go for a counterattack. There's not a lot here to defend. What I will say is that Zoun, at least he held on to his third base, but it is so vulnerable right now. And we can see like Dark going ham. He's working on all the upgrades. We have Roach speed on the way, +1 melee. We have Baneling speed as well. Dark, he's getting ready for a massive push, and Zoun just doesn't have a lot here. He has Colossus, to be fair.
And that's going to work out really well against Lings and Banes. What about these Roaches? He has one Disruptor to work with at the moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes all you need is one. This is not one of those times.
Oh boy. I'm a little bit concerned, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he's trying to take up, he's trying to get back into this. He's throwing down all these gateways, like he needs them desperately so he can reinforce and hold on. Meanwhile, Dark actually going for an expansion and droning up a little bit here as well. I thought that he was gonna try and go for a kill move, but instead, never mind. I was like, is he gonna start droning up? He double expands, but this may just be for Larva. Let's see.
I think that is his plan here. He's just waiting for Galava Constitution to finish up. Actually working on +1 melee instead of +1 range, which is interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what the plan is here for Dark. Because again, he keeps like sneaking in a couple of drones here and there, which is throwing me off a little bit, not gonna lie. We'll see, as we do have Ling Bane being set up. Yeah, he's droning up a little bit more. Could instead be looking to push in if Zoun takes a fourth instead. Yeah,
I guess he doesn't want to completely break Zoun. At least not yet. He doesn't want to try to break Zoun in an entrenched position. He wants Zoun to push out and just get the drop on him from there.
Yeah, again, like Dark, he's finally gotten up to 74 drones. He has more than enough that he needs. Now he's making nothing but Ling Bane. He's got plenty of larvae to work with. Zoun is pushing out, and this is what Dark wanted. He wanted this to happen. He's ready to just swallow up the army.
Yeah, already getting prepared to sandwich the army. Swing up his forces. It's gonna be tough pushing up that ramp, but as long as he's able to get the flank on Zoun's main army, it should be a crushing victory for Dark. He's trying to get a concave.
Oh,
the force fields, though.
God, he is trying. The Banelings are crashing in. The Zealots to avoid all the Banelings, though. The force fields are looking pretty good, but all the sentries are gone, and now the army is just pouncing upon everything that Protoss has.
Brilliant corrosive vials on top of that warp prism, immediately taking it out. A lot of these Zealots do survive, but again, Dark has more than enough room to kite. Only one Colossus still remains.
Yeah, without a War Prism, it's so difficult to really like have any kind of presence here, and thankfully Zoun doesn't stick around.
Yeah. I feel like Dark is being a little bit overly cautious from here.
I mean, he's up like almost 80 supply.
Yeah.
Like he's, once again, like it did come down to the opener. Like Zoun had such a rough start. Like we were talking about it before, it was so risky for him to go for a disruptor drop. And we saw that it did nothing. Like, I didn't even get to mention that when the Purification Overs went off, like, the splits were perfect, and they literally got nothing. they dealt damage to the score. Yeah.
The chaos that was going on.
Oh, God. It was insane.
Absolutely was. And now, finally, Dark is on the other side of the map. He has the opportunity to pounce on top of his army and keep going to a real good Purification Nova. But again, that's the only Purification Nova available to Zoun.
Yeah, exactly. We have Overcharge, but it does immediately get picked off by the Biles. Dark is breaking on through. There's almost nothing left. There's only a single Colossus remaining, standing here for Zoun, and it will not be enough. Dark crushes on through the third base. At the same time, Zoun is going for a bit of a Zealot run-by, which is cool, but it's not going to deal anywhere near enough damage. Like, there's just so many bases here for Dark. He's breaking on through. This may force him to come back. Nah, he doesn't care.
Nah, not at all. He's producing 10 roaches at a time. He can deal with that.
God, exactly, mate, exactly. The reinforcements are more than enough, and GG gets called. Dark takes the series 3-1.
We'll go up against Cure in the grand finals. Whew!
Hey, I'm shocked that Zoun didn't go Sky Toss.
Are you now?
Yeah. Especially because of Glittering Ashes. Like, just because of how like, that's the only game that he won, right? On a larger map. Him, you know, eventually getting into those carriers and those Void Rays. I thought we were going to see more of that, but yeah, instead went for something else and didn't work out.
Yeah. I guess by that point he figured that he was doing Sky Toss one too many times here in the best of 5 series. You know, Dark probably would have figured him out. Would have been able to anticipate it a lot better.
Yes, exactly. And with that, Dark, he does take the series move. We'll move on to the grand finals. We're just letting the admins know, and now we can get ready for our next series.